group. I believe in America.
The House Speaker relieved after final passage of a bill President Trump has pushed hard for, and Democrats didn't have the votes to stop.
Before a vote on the One Big Beautiful Bill, House Democratic leader Hakeem Jeffries gave one big speech.
Shame on this institution if this bill passes. That's not America. We're better than this.
The Democratic leader took the floor before dawn, speaking for nearly 9 hours before House Speaker Mike Johnson made his final pitch.
We are ready now. We are going to deliver what we were sent here to do, and every American will benefit from it.
Just 2 Republicans voted against the sweeping tax and spending plan that President Trump urged lawmakers to get to his desk before Independence Day.
Fox's Jared Halpern at the White House, a signing ceremony planned for tomorrow. Former President Biden calls the bill reckless and cruel, just posting on X that working people deserve better. President Trump insisting it will strengthen Medicaid while extending the 2017 tax cuts. He'll be in Iowa tonight with an event at the state fair to kick off a year-long countdown to America's 250th birthday. Millions of Americans are also on the move celebrating this Independence Day.
The total number of travelers for the holiday, an all-time record, says AAA, 72.2 million, and that's up double digits since before the pandemic. So we are back in a big way. 61 million of those by car, another 6 million almost in the air, and that's an all-time record as well. And then there are folks that are cruising or on buses or on trains. The cruising is very big, says the folks at AAA.
Fox Business's Jeff Flock. Stormy weather impacting some travel. FlightAware reporting more than 4,000 flight delays. America is listening to Fox News.
Do you have 3 ex-wives and your current trophy wife wants a life insurance policy 3 times the size of the policies you had to purchase for your previous mistakes? If so, you need to call Big Lou at Term Provider, 800-777-1225. Big Lou is intimately familiar with your problems, and if you're 50 or 60 years old and in reasonably good health, a $1 million policy should only cost about $100 to $200 per month. Big Lou may have a solution for your previous policies as well. You may even save enough money to lighten the load on your new $1 million policy. Remember, call Big Lou. He's like you, except he's only on number 2. Call Term Provider at 800-777-1225. That's 800-777-1225. For $1 million in term life insurance that you can live with. Call Big Lou at 800-777-1225. 800-777-1225.
A video leads to an investigation of ICE agents over what happened in a California school parking lot.
The El Rancho Unified School District says surveillance video appears to show several ICE agents urinating in the parking lot of Ruben Salazar High School in broad daylight, noting this is right next to a preschool playground and an elementary school where summer classes are going on. In a letter to the Department of Homeland Security, district officials call for an investigation, saying ICE agents unlawfully trespassed and did not exercise sound and respectful judgment with the risk of exposing themselves to minors. Los Angeles County Supervisor Janice Hahn echoing this, calling it a slap in the face to our communities, especially to our children. A DHS rep says this matter is under investigation. Kristen Goodwin, Fox News.
The first detainees arrive at what President Trump calls Alligator Alcatraz, the new holding facility built by Florida at the site of a training airfield in the Everglades.
The facility has the capacity to house thousands of detainees and is planned to operate as a facility for housing, processing, and eventually deporting captured criminal aliens. Law enforcement around the state of Florida is working under agreements with U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement to apprehend and hold migrants discovered to be in the country illegally.
Fox's Evan Brown in Miami. Actor Michael Madsen has died. He's had hundreds of roles, including in Donnie Brasco and Thelma and Louise.
I ask you one thing. Maybe. You love somebody else?
Well, perhaps best known for the menacing characters he played in some Quentin Tarantino films, including Reservoir Dogs and Kill Bill. His manager says Madsen was found unresponsive in his Malibu home this morning, possibly from cardiac arrest. He was 67. A strong finish on Wall Street, an early one because of the holiday weekend. The Dow gained 344 points. I'm Lisa Brady, Fox News.
The best thing about that story is when you guys started to leave, Because you came up, you're like, hey, we're out of here. I'm like, all right, good to see you. Although I didn't see you all day.
Idiots.
Like you were just positioned right at that beer pong table.
And also, let's be honest, you're the mayor.
Like a little music with your meal, Tuco?
Well, I was just walking around visiting with everybody.
Yeah.
So I was like, I don't think I've talked to Pipes all day. So
Yes, it's very good. Very good for the digestion.
you came over, you're like, hey, we're taking off. And I'm like, all right, go along. I'll see you Monday for the show. And you just see Piper pick this table up almost like it's a backpack. And he just throws it on his back and just takes off walking.
Never seen so many men wasted so badly.
And I'm like, he literally is just carrying a beer pong table out of here.
You smell like a pig already. Let's try not to make things any worse.
How far did you carry the table? Like, how far were you?
It's a pretty good haul down to First Federal.
Yeah, decent haul.
Yeah.
A couple blocks.
Oh, more than that.
I mean, I don't know.
It was just the image.
After how I enjoyed myself, I'd say it maybe felt like a couple blocks.
Such ingratitude after all the times I've saved your life.
It's like, I don't know. It's like The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly or something long, where he's riding off into the sunset.
Like big fat men like you. When they fall, they make more noise.
Like, I know you haven't seen the movie. It's all right.
Well, yeah, right. You're asking Pipes to.
But Clint Eastwood does this. He rides off into the sunset. Imagining you walking off into
the sunset with a beer pong table.
If you work for a living, why do you kill yourself working?
And good morning. It is The Drive with Lante. That's it.
And
that's it. No, I'm kidding. Curtis Allen is here.
Yes, I'm here.
Daniel Herzog is here. No longer The Drive with Tay and Piper.
No,
obviously.
But I thought after yesterday's show, one more send-off for our boy.
Yeah.
Into the sunset.
I love it. I love it.
Good, the bad, and the ugly. I had some fun with that.
Your production, how long, can I just get right to it here? Curtis Allen is obviously with us, and Daniel Herzog, as I mentioned. How long does it take you to do something like that?
Oh, I don't want to tell you that. But I kind of got it down to a science.
Okay.
Like it used to take a really long time to put something together like that.
Well, I mean, you've got to, first of all, you got to know what you want to use from us and you. In other words, what we've talked about.
So I told Derek this, I think a week or two back, and he's like, man, how do you pull that audio? Because I'm pulling from 2 hours plus. Right?
I know.
And I said, well, every once in a while when something really funny is happening, I'll put a little note in my phone and be like, 3:44.
Smart
something
idea.
like that. And so then I know it's 44 minutes in that first hour is where something like that starts. And then I don't know, I'm pretty quick-witted. And
you're talented as hell.
I watch a lot of movies, Lon. And
well, that's the other thing is you always literally have all these different movies with different lines that nail it exactly what we're talking about. I'm like, how does he do that? I guess maybe you could, like Daniel, he just Googles it. Hey, what line can I use for this? And AI brings up something, I assume. So it's just amazing how you do that. And,
Thank you.
And the way you do that. So I appreciate it. It's added so much, and it's fun. I know, Piper, we talked about that last night after you had left. We all went and celebrated a little bit.
We did. We had a nice little celebration. I didn't get to hang as long as I wanted to.
Yeah, that's all right. I'm glad that you were able to come out.
Yeah.
And so Pipes and I, after you left, we were, of course, bashing you
naturally
horribly.
Yeah.
But the one good thing he did say about you is I'm totally kidding. No, but he was talking about how those little intros, he's like, that's amazing how he has those done every day. I'm like, it would take me a week to do that.
I appreciate
and
that.
I'd probably accidentally delete it, before saving it, and then I'd be ticked off and it'd be another week.
Oh man, there was one that happened. I don't remember which intro it was, but there was one a few weeks ago where that happened, and I had everything done, and someone was distracting me. I won't say who, but someone was distracting me, and then I actually clicked X, and there went my stuff, and I hadn't quite saved it all the way, and so I managed to remember everything.
Okay.
But I was pretty proud that I put it back together that
Holy
quickly.
Smoke.
Because I saved all the parts, I just didn't have it mixed down. So.
That's crazy. Well, it's been wonderful having those, because that is something that we hadn't had before. It's funny that you mentioned the noting a time. So when Trevor was here, we would do intros, right?
Yeah.
And not like that, but in other words, an intro that we played the same intro every day.
Yeah.
And it had music and different stuff, but we would try to refresh those every once in a while.
Sure.
So I would always tell Trevor, I'm like, why don't you, during the show, if you hear something funny or one of us does something idiotic, which seemingly happened every day, but just note that to where then we could use that. And so I think he kind of did the same thing to where he would know where it's at. So that's kind of cool. Like back in my TV days, that's how we would, when we were shooting video. So the photographer and I would start my stopwatch at a certain time when he was filming. And so I was able to, if Corey Bradford hit a big three, let's say to put Illinois up 3, I could note what time it was on my stopwatch, and then I would know then where on the tape to go to edit that, because sometimes, you've only got like 15 minutes to put a story together after post game and everything. So you got to have that stuff saved and ready to roll. So that's pretty cool. That's a good lesson for the young one down there, Daniel Herzog.
I hope you're taking notes, Daniel. This is all going to come in handy later in life for you.
See, unlike us, he's really smart, and he just in his head he's taking notes, right? You and I have to write everything down. It's like,
it's true.
I shouldn't say that. Include you in my idiocracy. Idiocracy is what I'm looking at. Idiocy. That would be the better. That would be the better. All right. How about 4th of July plans, Daniel? You got anything exciting going on?
Nope. Nothing over here, actually.
Nothing?
I've never been a holiday guy.
No?
No.
Do you have a favorite holiday?
My favorite holiday is Christmas.
I think we've talked about that before. Yeah.
I just love the whole. I mean, I still have a tree up in my house. It's a little tree, but I just keep it up. And every once in a while, I'll flip the lights on. I kind of enjoy the Christmas spirit and the season. And I love Christmas music. Now, I haven't listened to any lately, but it will literally be the middle of July, and I'll throw. Like, if I jump in the shower or something, I'll just throw, like, Spotify on Christmas music, and I'll just listen to Christmas music.
Well, just give me a couple minutes. I'll see what I can do over here behind the board. See what I can put together for you.
Of course, all of it has to include Mariah Carey.
Well, naturally.
With the best Christmas song ever. But, yeah, so Christmas is my favorite, and we do have a couple traditions on Christmas, right? Or maybe not on Christmas, but during the season. Like the boys, Christmas Eve, we always play Monopoly. And,
that's awesome.
And
that's
it's pretty
fun.
cool. And watch Christmas Vacation. Yeah. So that's something that we've done. I think there was one year we couldn't for some reason, but for the most part, probably the last 19 years we've done that. Which Andrew's only 18, so he came along into the tradition, I guess you would say. But the other day I was talking to somebody about this because like when St. Patrick's Day came, and they were getting ready to go out and do something, and I'm like, I don't ever take advantage of holidays. That's like the day I stay in.
Well, what do they call it? Amateur night? Isn't that usually they call St. Patty's and New Year's Eve and some of those where there's lots of people out and about drinking. They usually refer to those as amateur nights. And yeah, maybe when I was a bit younger in college, that sort of stuff, I'd go out and have some fun with that. But anymore, it's like, nah, I'm good. I'm right here. Who's selling corned beef tonight? Where can I go get some corned beef and potatoes and...
Just give me a nice dinner. Yeah. That's my New Year's. I'll be in bed at 9 o'clock and move on. But I don't know. I just don't do much for the holidays. Of course, the Champaign County Freedom Celebration is tomorrow. That parade, by the way, Diane was mentioning, starts at 4:30 if you're interested. And it's up on the U of I campus around there. So 4:30 for the parade. The evening program is at 6 o'clock, and that's lot 31. That's our big tailgate lot in case anybody's wondering what lot that is. They'll have food trucks, live music, flag ceremony, bunch of children's activities, and then the fireworks are at 9:15. That's another thing. Like, I feel like I'm ball humbug, but I'm not a big... Like, I like fireworks. I think they're cool, and especially the ones that just go up and they just do the boom. Yeah. Just a poof. Yeah. You're like, oh, I didn't even say anything, but that was awesome. I'm not a guy that like goes around and like hunts fireworks shows. Like Arthur always has. Oh man, an unbelievable fireworks show.
And so I don't want to discourage anybody from going to any freedom celebrations this weekend.
Absolutely.
But like, I just reached a point in life where I don't want to fight the traffic with some of that stuff.
Yes.
There's thousands and thousands of people in Arthur. And I live in Tuscola, so I'm not that far from it. No. So it's nuts. It's always nuts right down Route 36 and through all that whole area, and it's crazy. But I took the kiddos to that a couple of years ago. And we had a great time.
Yeah.
But then it took like 3 hours to get 10 miles. I'm exaggerating just a little, but not.
But I get it.
But it was like,
The last time I went to Arthur, we actually, what is the, I'm trying to think here, the road between Arthur and Arcola, Chesterville's on it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Whatever road that is, and I apologize, I should know that. I probably got within 2.5, 3 miles of Arthur, and we just pulled over.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a shed, and then there was a house. So I pulled over, and I kind of sat there a minute, hoping somebody would come out of the house so I could just ask them if it's okay. I didn't want to like trespass, but nobody ever came out. So I guess they didn't care or they weren't home. They were already at the fireworks, maybe. But
I don't know. I bet somebody looked out the window. It's Uncle Lon. He's fine out there.
Yeah,
It's
let
Lon.
him go. You better not leave that beer can in the.
No,
I'm kidding. But we sat there and watched them. They're incredible. Mark Jones, of course, somebody that does a great job with those.
Oh, it's amazing.
If he still helps out, I assume he does. But yeah, so that's another thing. I'm just not a big fireworks guy. I'm kind of boring, Daniel, on holidays. What the hell?
I don't have many plans on holidays. So,
and you're young. You're supposed to be like living it up right now, man.
Yeah.
No, I'll tell you the plans we do have over the holiday weekend, and that's the Cubs and Cardinals at Wrigley.
Ah, yes. Yes, we do.
Yeah, Cardinals off today. So they will score as many runs today as they did the last 3 days, which is exactly 0. That's unbelievable. They've been 28 innings now straight without a run.
Wow.
Shut out 3 times. By the Pirates.
I'm not going to play it loud. I just want this to be on the background while you're talking
just
about it.
so I can still remember this at 9:30 tonight.
You want a little louder, Dan?
I'll only let this slide because they did win last night.
They did.
So I will let it slide. It's kind of like when people started putting the W flag up. You remember when that whole craze came around?
Fly the W.
Fly the W.
Yeah.
So that's fine, and the Cubs were really good that year, and I was like, oh, that's cool. That's a neat thing, I guess. But then after they'd lose like 2 straight, they'd still have the W flag up. So I would go to people's houses and like knock on their door. I'm like, hey.
No, you didn't.
Yeah, I did. They're like not random people, but people I knew, and I'm
Okay.
like, hey, why is your W flag up? The Cubs lost 7-0 today.
You know,
they're like, really, Lon? I'm like, well, get it down. It angered me. You know, it doesn't take much for Cubs Cardinals fans to. It's a good anger.
It's a healthy anger.
We love each other after.
It's a healthy anger.
But it's one of those where it's like, come on. How you feeling about this one, Daniel, this series, Cubs and Cardinals? Cubs, 3-game lead over the Milwaukee Brewers. Cardinals are 5 games out, Reds 6.5. And those Pirates, who just shut down the Cardinals for 3 straight games, are 14 out with a minus 29 run differential. So the Cardinals, could make some hay and gain a little bit of ground, but it's amazing to me when you fall behind by like 4 or 5 games, how hard it is to get back into it.
Yeah, honestly, for me, it's all about pitching matchups.
Yeah.
I haven't looked at them yet. I know Boyd is going to go on Sunday, which means the Cardinals are going to miss Imanaga.
And you're missing Sonny Gray.
We are? Okay, that's really what I was looking for.
Michaelis is starting out. I think Michaelis, Liberatore, and then
we'll get Libby. Okay.
Would it be Palante maybe on Sunday? Or it would either be Palante or Fetty.
Okay.
Which, I mean, he's like the pitcher for the home run derby. Eric Fetty. You know his last 2 starts? One was against the Cubs.
Yeah.
First pitch of the game, home run.
That was it Happer that knocked that one out or
That's
something?
right.
Yeah, I'm sure.
And then his next start was against the Pirates, second pitch of the game.
Yeah.
Kid hits a home run. So I'm like, well, so now I guess third pitch of the game is the charm this time whenever he comes around to pitch again. But, yeah, that's good we're missing Imanaga.
Yeah.
Well, so backing up, you mentioned Sonny Gray. A tough outing for Sonny in his last start. And, I mean, you get no run support. That doesn't help a whole lot either, Lon.
No.
No,
not at all.
5-0 shutout loss for the Redbirds. And if he's not going, it's yeah, that's it. You're that sound. That's the sound.
Well, and Ollie,
if he's not going, it's usually a rough night.
Exactly. And the frustration to that, and I will say this all year, is that the Cardinals had won the first 2 in that series at Busch Stadium. Cubs get game 3, and then you had a chance to pitch Sonny in game 4 on 5 days rest, on regular rest.
Mm-hmm.
You have a chance to pitch against your rival and get to within 2.5, I believe it was. It could have been a game and a half, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And instead, Ollie skips Sonny Gray, doesn't pitch him in Game 4. Cubs win that game. Now, the Cardinals also didn't score in that game against Imanaga. But the point, the thing for me, though, is just what message is that sending to your ball club? So not only do you not throw your best against your rival, and forget the rivalry, it's against the team you're chasing in the division. Not only do you not throw him that game, but then the way you spaced it out now, you missed the Cubs again with Sonny Gray. Now, like a guy like Tony La Russa, and I know we had this funny chat the other day about Tony, but one thing he did do is he would line his starters up, his best pitchers, with division opponents. And you could bet if you were the Cubs, you were going to face Adam Wainwright, right? Or Chris Carpenter or Matt Morris or whoever it was. I don't know that he managed when Matt was here. But the point is, La Russa would set those up, and most managers do. I'm not saying that Tony, we always jokingly called him the genius, and he did have a hell of a career, let's be honest. But most managers do that. They set their big gun up to face not only a division opponent, but somebody you're chasing. So the fact that Ali skipped Sonny Gray, and maybe there's something in it that I don't know about. Maybe he had arm trouble. The next day, though, he throws the absolute gem of the year, a complete game, like 88 pitches, shuts out Cleveland. So that was great. That extra day of rest probably did help. But it still, to me, as a Cardinals fan, sent a bad message to me saying, well, we don't want to throw our best against the Cubs. We're okay with a loss to fall back to 4.5 back or 2.5 or whatever it was. And not only that, then it doesn't line him up to pitch at Wrigley. So to me, that's just it's a bad look.
No, I follow. I'm with you. And I will say this. I don't think the Cubs worry too much about who they're facing day to day. They got a pretty great lineup. But that is a benefit to them to not have to face Sonny Gray twice,
Agree.
And so
agree. And ditto with Imanaga. He tore us up the first time, and he's back. Has he pitched again since the St. Louis?
He pitched last night.
Oh, that was last night. That's right. That's right. Okay. And they won what? They were down in that game.
5-4.
Okay.
Gave up one in the ninth, but yeah.
Okay. I think they were were they down 3-2?
They were down 3-2. They were down 2-0.
Okay.
The Guardians led off the second with back-to-back homers.
Oh, well, that's
off Imanaga.
Lane Thomas
and,
did he? Okay,
and
of course.
Santana.
Okay. Well, but the Cubs get it. They get it done. They get the win.
Yeah.
And there's always something special about Wrigley, man. That is a fun place to go catch a baseball game. I assume, Curtis, you've been there.
Oh, Wrigley?
Yeah, plenty of
many
times.
Yeah.
Daniel, have you?
I've been there 3 times this year.
Oh, this year.
Yeah.
So okay. So do you just drive up and drive back that day, or do you stay?
I went to a Friday, Saturday of a weekend series.
Nice.
And stayed with some college friends who live in Chicago.
Got it.
And then I went up and back one day.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can't you catch the train there and like
you can.
Is that my place? Is that my spot that has the Taco Bell and the Kentucky Fried Chicken?
There you go. Yeah, you're on it.
Mokina or not Mokina. It's Mendota? No.
Mendota's got a train stop.
Okay. I was going to say, I thought there's a spot you could like literally park, jump on the train.
Mantino is another one.
Mantino, that's what I'm thinking.
Is that what you're thinking of?
That's what I'm thinking. Samsonite. But yeah, you can jump on that train. I've never done it. The Band of Brothers. And then that train will take you downtown. You hop off, go to Wrigley, or maybe not downtown, but you get what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And then you can head back. That'd be a pretty cool way to do it.
Yeah. What I did was I took a bus from the Amtrak station in Champaign.
Oh.
I bussed up, and I've taken those buses twice. Both times they've been way ahead of schedule.
Okay.
Nice.
And then I probably got to Wrigley 2-3 hours ahead of first pitch.
Nice.
So I just got to walk around
What
Wrigleyville.
do they drop? I know they won't let you drop off at Wrigley.
No.
So how close do you get? Like around 10 blocks or something? Or I mean, seriously, they won't let you.
Yeah.
Like Ubers and cabs, you cannot be dropped at Wrigley.
They've got, Turner Coaches have always had a deal.
Oh.
Have you ever done any of those?
No.
Where so Turner Coaches have always had a deal where they would take you, and that's from around here. We're talking Central Illinois, Central Indiana.
Right.
And, there's a Walmart that's the central location.
Oh,
All right,
okay.
you sign up for this. Everybody's going to meet at Walmart at 6 a.m. and the bus picks you up for the game, takes you up there, blah blah blah.
Well, that's interesting.
But they will do a drop off there. Now it's a madhouse getting out and finding your bus with
can only
40,000 people, and a lot of them trying to get to their own bus as well.
Right.
And I don't know if I'll ever do that again. I did that for many years with my dad. He preferred to do that instead of fighting.
Interesting.
Instead of fighting with the parking or
Yep.
the trains or anything like that up there. But that can be a long, long day doing it that way, man. Because you're leaving at 6 a.m. and you probably don't get home till midnight sometimes.
Oh, yeah,
So.
yeah, that doesn't sound fun.
Yeah.
That doesn't. It's work to go to a game. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? It's worth it, but it's work. Mm-hmm. We went down to a Cardinals game this year a couple of times, and by the time you get there, you got to find parking. You got to pay like $40 to park or something, and then you're walking to where you're going to get to Busch Stadium. Then Ballpark Village is crowded, although this season there's only about 5 people there, so it's not too bad. But, by the time you sit through the game where it's hot, then you head back, and it's like, it's a long day, you know? You spend a lot of money, but it's so fun going to Major League Baseball games. So that's interesting on the bus. I've taken Amtrak, not for a Cubs game, but I've taken Amtrak quite a bit to Chicago. I always loved doing that. That's always kind of fun.
I took the Amtrak back, actually.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
oh, okay.
I took the bus up, and it was really quick.
So the bus, so you parked at the train station there in Champaign?
I think my mom just dropped me off.
Ah, gotcha. Yeah, that works too. But that Amtrak, I know when my brother was up there were a lot of times where I'd bail after a show on Friday, jump on the Amtrak, head up to Chicago, and then just bring it back Sunday. And it worked out, man. Take a few Bud Lights on that truck or on the train. And the one day I got on there, and of course, it's called the Saluki, right? The route is like the Saluki route or something because it goes down to Southern Illinois. Well, you forget that a bunch of kids from Southern Illinois enjoy their alcohol sometimes. So I got on the train and I went back to the restaurant or bar area, and I'm like, hey, I'm going to do a Bud Light. And the lady's like, well, we only have one left. And I'm like, oh, wow. I'm like, all right, well, I'll take it. She goes, no, that's not Bud Light. I mean, we only have one beer left. And I'm like, oh, what kind is it? She's like, no, we literally only have one can of beer remaining on this train. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, I'll take the can of beer. But it was kind of funny. Like, she's like, they have drank us out of everything from Carbondale here. I'm like, all right, well,
that's
I'm kind of proud
literally
of that.
from the bottom of the state to the top of the state.
Exactly.
And that's, if you're pretty cool, you're not getting too rowdy or crazy.
Right.
You're not going to get bothered having a beer or two or whatever on the train.
Heck no.
But if you're drinking all the beer,
right, then
I don't know how that goes down. What happened? Was there any madness that ensued?
No.
Well, that's good.
That is good because there was a guy behind me and he goes, am I hearing what you're hearing? I'm like, yeah. I'm like, how much you want to give me for that beer that I'm buying? He's like, you can have it. I don't even remember what kind of beer it was, but there was one time, I've never said this. I don't think I've ever told this story on the air. So my freshman year at Southern, I tore a bunch of ligaments in my knee playing basketball. It was a weak side rebound, came down on a kid's foot, literally just hobbled over to the side of the rec, sat there while my buddies finished. We had a sixth guy there.
Yeah.
So they finished that game and win. Then they play another one and win. Then they play another one and win. And by then I'm starting to get a little bit of pain. And the rec, like there was a doctor at the rec or whatever you could go to if you got hurt. Well, it was closed. I had hobbled down there and it was closed. So we get back to the dorm and my suite mate, like I'm sitting there for like 3 hours just elevating it, trying to put some ice on it. But it starts swelling so bad. To the point where it's starting to freak me out. Like this shouldn't. It was swollen all the way to my kneecap. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, I think I need you to. My roommate Steve Kopp was a farmer from Chatham area, Springfield, and I said, Steve, I think I'm going to need you to take me to the emergency room. So we go to the emergency room, and the doctor, like, they couldn't do anything because it was so swollen. So they gave me some pain medicine or something and sent me back home, and I had to go back the next day. But the funny part was that. I remember the doctor looking at me and saying, you would have been better off just breaking your ankle. And I was like, oh, well, thanks. I appreciate that. He goes, now you're gonna have this issue with your knee for the rest of your life. I'm like, oh, great, or my ankle. But that time I had to come. I was coming home for like a holiday, I think, or maybe the winter break, and I had to get back on the train to go down. So I'm on crutches. So my dad down in Mattoon, my dad looks at the guy, the young man running the train, and he's like, do you mind if I go on the train with my son and put his luggage down? And the guy's like, well, we're not allowed to let anybody on the train that doesn't have a ticket. And Dad's like, okay. And the guy was like scurrying around. It was like his second day on the job. This is a true story. I know all
So
this.
he's not
because of
trying to
what
make
happens.
anybody mad. You
No,
know?
no. He's like, he's panicked. He's trying to get on time. So finally he goes, you know what? Yeah, if you just go quick.
Yeah.
So I hobble on the train, find my seat. Dad throws the luggage up above me, and I kid you not, the train starts moving. And it's heading south. So Dad looks out and he goes, well, that's not good. And I'm like, oh, no, this is not good. So Mom was back at the train station. Well, we don't have cell phones
No,
then.
not then.
So the guy, Dad has to go to the very front of the train. He finds this guy. And the guy stares at my dad. Dad said he got white as a ghost. And he goes, I'm going to lose my job for this. And Dad's like, no, you're not. He's like, I'll pay for a ticket right now. And he goes, you can't. He's like, I'm going to lose my job for this. And so Dad was like, I will talk to whoever I need to talk to at Amtrak.
Yeah.
And the guy did not lose his job.
That's good.
But Mom had to drive to Effingham
To pick up your dad?
To pick up Dad. So Dad's like, well, I'll probably get to Effingham before your mom, so I'll probably just have a beer there, I guess, and she'll pick me up somewhere. But and I think we always used to go to the same spot when we'd go to Effingham, so she kind of knew where to meet Dad. Because he like taxied to like the spot to have a beer or something. But it was kind of funny. But yeah, so I guess don't ever get on a train without a ticket.
That's the moral of that story.
The moral of that story.
That's the moral of that story.
Don't get on a train without a ticket. Hey, we got Matt Silich at 4:05 talking some NBA. I wanted to ask him kind of in the angle of what's it going to look like for KJ? What's it looking like for Will, Shannon, and also Io? And, you know, now that free agency's kind of going, et cetera. Well, yeah, free agency's up. So I kind of want to see, like, you know, is there a chance for more playing time for guys like Shannon, especially? And, of course, Io, will he continue to play quite a bit? And then what's it look like for the two rookies?
A lot of trade talk surrounding Io
Yes,
right now.
there are.
Each day there's a little bit more smoke about him being moved out of Chicago. So maybe we can ask Matt about that, see what he thinks about that as well.
Absolutely. So we'll do that. Daniel came equipped with the next question, baseball next question. Already I feel like I'm in trouble because I don't know this stuff. You know, I just don't know this. This is where I need pipes to just handle that part of it. But now we can, Curtis and I can fight our way through this, right?
We'll figure it out.
And a lot of them, I think a lot of them are on the Cubbies. So that's good.
Well, then if I mess this up, I'm going to just get eaten alive on the text lines. What's going to happen there?
And what we'll do is when Daniel asks one about the Cubbies, I'll throw it back in his face to where you can answer it as well, Daniel, because you two are the Cubs fans. But I'll throw my thought on what I think of the Cubs. So a lot to do. Hans D texted me in the meantime. He's not going to make it in today. He was going to try to make it in.
The legend.
But, the legend. It was nice of him to come yesterday.
Yeah.
With Pipes. I told Pipes, I said, you know what? We're going to just start the show tomorrow with we don't even know who you are.
Mm-mm.
And he's like, that's perfect, man. I want to hear that. I want to listen to that.
Who is this?
Derek Piper.
Who?
Oh.
Huh?
Oh.
Huh?
Sorry,
What the
Pipes.
hell?
Are you talking about?
Have you met him? No?
No.
No?
No.
Is he on the show?
No.
Oh.
No. So
Sorry, Pipes.
that was terrible, man. Daniel just played that perfectly.
Pipes.
And I ruined
He
that.
got you.
I ruined that so bad. And Daniel, that was perfect. That was perfect. Yeah, let's do a little Johnny Gross next question. Baseball style. If you want to weigh in, 359-2255. That's 217-359-2255. Randy, I'm not telling that story.
Yo, I see that from Randy. Yo, hey, Randy.
I'll tell Curtis that one off the air.
All right.
With regards to college, but and it actually didn't have anything to do with me, so that's
No.
good. I was not the bad one this time, which is always a bonus and a win. So 217-359-2255. That is the Max Twin City Recycling text line. We'll talk to Matt Silich on the Tapman's Towing phone line at 405. So a lot to do today, and it's not Friday, but it seems like it. So we'll do a little tip of that before we kick everybody off to their 4th of July weekend. I'm sure quite a few already celebrating that. I know there were some pools here in town that are already being filled up.
Appreciate him celebrating with us, too.
I know. I'm
Yeah.
like, well, hey, I got to go to work. You guys have fun. Must be nice. Blah, blah, blah. You know, then the violin comes out.
Yes.
All right. We are back. It is The Drive.
Want unbeatable prices on your next furniture purchase, but also seeking that local hometown feel? Look no further than Kelsey Furniture in Tuscola. Customers rave about their friendly, established staff, as well as their great selection, amazing prices, and second-to-none delivery service. They're a third-generation local business, and they've always got your best interests at heart. Find the look you love for less. Open 9 to 5 Monday through Saturday, but always available online at kelseyfurniture.com. That's kelseyfurniture.com.
Here's another home improvement insight from Kramer Siding and Window, a proud member of Prairie Home Alliance. A new front door can instantly upgrade the look of your home and make it more energy efficient. The Kramer Siding and Window team can also install French doors to your deck or patio, welcoming the outside in, or storm doors for an extra layer of protection against the elements. The estimate is free, financing is available, and the business is local. Schedule your beautiful new door today and save 25%. Call us, click on kramersiding.com, or visit the showroom in Champaign.
At Pards in Urbana, the boots just keep on coming. They're known for their huge collection of men's cowboy boots, women's cowgirl boots, kids' boots, and even shoes. If you're searching for top footwear brands, look no further than Pards. They carry a wide variety, including Ariat, Dan Post, Smoky Mountain, Roper, Double H, and more. And if socks or accessories are what you need, they've got all your high-quality essentials. Since 1968, Pards has been serving their customers with high-quality merchandise. And if you haven't been to Pards in a while, a lot has changed. Go check them out just off University Avenue in Urbana.
It's Farmer City, baby, and it's been a great time so far this season. So for 4th of July, we're thanking you for your support with a full show for just $5. All the late models, modifieds, prolates, and mods, and the street stocks for just $5. And kids 12 and under are free. And fireworks to end the night right. This 4th of July, Farmer City Raceway is thankful for you. So come get a night of racing action and fireworks for just a picture of a Lincoln. $5. Farmer City Raceway, just off 150 in Farmer City.
We're talking to John Reichert and Neil Asklin. I guess the first question for me, John, is what is it like being part of A&R, knowing how this all started? It was your grandfather, then your dad, and now you, and 100 years in business is hard. How do you explain that?
Well, it's incredible, honestly. When I was a boy, obviously my father was running the company. It's always been, part of my life, but I knew that we had good people, at that time that worked for the company. I think with God's help and protection that we survived and frankly thrived.
I think the thrive is the key word here. Neil Asklin, I guess, let me ask you about your dad, Ken Asklin, who partnered with Dave, and they got it going in the 50s and kept it going, and you being part of the company.
I've been around since I was a young teenager, so something that I've grown to love, and the camaraderie and getting things done. And these huge projects that we're doing now just amazes me.
A&R Mechanical, a thriving leader 100 years later.
Actually, I called the provider. It was just going to be a while before I could have service, and I couldn't wait, so I was recommended to Classic. Professionalism, their dependability, credibility, and the service technicians, I wouldn't ever call anybody else.
I truly believe that after people have experienced other companies and then given us a try, they can clearly see the difference.
Visit ClassicPlum.com.
We are back. It is The Drive. Lante Curtis Allen, Daniel Herzog making another appearance before heading back to Syracuse University. You'll be a sophomore?
Yes, I will be.
And you're studying radio, TV.
Broadcast and digital journalism.
Is that what it's called?
That's
okay.
what it's called, yeah.
Broadcast and digital journalism. It was funny, we talked about editing, like the intro.
Yeah.
To start, when I was in TV, I became, like everybody that's at a certain job, you become really good at editing. So I could throw highlights down like nothing, right? And just or edit a package really quick, et cetera, after I'd voice it. And then you go back and add the volume to it. Or I'm sorry, the video to it. But I wouldn't know what to do now. And like I know WAND about probably longer than that actually. few years ago, WAND, I thought this was a great idea. And I wish every TV station would do this. They had former anchors come back and anchor the show.
Oh, yeah.
And it was during sweeps. It was in July. There's 4 months a year that TV stations get basically they get their kind of
like their ratings.
The ratings, yeah. You want to dominate sweeps, right? So all of a sudden in July, you'll see better content on the stations, etc. But they brought me back to anchor a couple of sports shows, which was really fun. I mean, that was fun to sit on the desk with those guys again and do it. But I remember after the show, or before the show, they were editing some highlights, and I was in there watching them, and of course, it's all digital now. And I'm like, so how do you do this? You know, I'm like, what? And you know, like back then, we actually had to search through a tape to find like the Cardinal highlights. So let's say you'd get like we always recorded it was CNN at 3:00, and that sent down all the highlights of like the night before. And so you'd look on there, and like 15 minutes in would be Cardinals Cubs. So I'd take the tape once it got done recording at 4. I'd take that tape in the edit bay, fast forward 15 minutes, and boom, there's the Cubs cards, right? Now, you know, it's all right there on the computer, so they just click a button, and up comes the Cubs Cardinals highlights. And I'm like, oh, you don't have to fast forward or rewind? And they're just like laughing at me like, no, Lon.
I took a class in college. It was one of the radio classes at EIU. But the instructor, he wanted us to appreciate at that time all the digital stuff. We were just starting to really, like it was really taking over radio in a big way. So he's like, I really want you to appreciate what you have now. So you need to record a 30-second spot doing reel-to-reel. And it's like, you're going to use pencil. So the old school radio fans know exactly what I'm talking about. A lot of other people have no idea. But reel-to-reel is actual tape you would record the spot on. And then you'd have to take a little pencil marking and find where you're going to edit. So then if you screwed up saying something, you'd have to make and you literally cut it with a razor.
You would. You had a razor blade.
And then you would use Scotch tape and tape it together and play it. So that was an adventure for every student in that class. But it was a lot of fun to then sit there and listen to the atrocities that we had all made on the reel-to-reel. It was so bad. It was so fun too.
Yeah, it's so bad it's funny. I had to do that every morning at WSIU.
Yeah.
When I did the morning, you know, I'd go in at 5 a.m. and I'd have to do reel-to-reel to cart. And then we had carts. And if you accidentally hit the cart, if you accidentally hit the play on the cart, you had to wait till it finished. So
there was
if
no
you were
stopping
in
it.
the middle of a sports and you needed that cart to play like 2 stories from now and you accidentally hit play, well, you weren't going to have that cart.
Yep.
You weren't going to have that sound. So it's just funny. Like, you know, technology is good. Like, continuing to improve is good for us old people. But the bad news is I don't know how to do any of it now. And I guess that's the good news for guys like Daniel, because you'll always get a job over me because I don't know how the hell to do it. So, all right, Daniel, is John Gross with us?
Next question.
Let's go. He is there. I wonder, Curtis.
Yes.
Can you play a bed of music? We should have on there like baseball or basketball or MLB.
Oh, yeah.
And
I got some.
I got yelled at one time by a listener. Yeah, that's perfect.
There we go.
A listener said to me, when you guys do that with music, I can't ever hear you. You play the music too loud. I remember you getting yelled at that. So I hardly ever play the music very loud, like you're doing right now.
It's not very loud.
That's what I mean. I mean, you're doing it perfect right now.
Okay, I'm going to leave it right there.
I used to put it up quite a bit, you know, because I thought, well, they can, but I don't know. He got mad about it. All right, Daniel, so take over, my friend. We'll see what we can get done here with this baseball.
Sounds good. So, a little more than a week ago, on June 24th, Kylie McDaniel and Jeff Passan with ESPN they ranked the MLB's top 50 trade deadline candidates.
Yes.
So how it worked was the top 30 guys, they gave a little description, they gave the chance of them being traded. Some of them are very high, some are very low, and their best fits. The Cubs are listed with every single starting pitcher and third baseman outside the NL Central.
Right.
The Cubs are listed as a best fit. So I would like the Cubs to focus on the starting pitching side.
Right.
Because it seems like Boyd has been a win these days.
Amen.
Imanaga has been a win. And
Ray hasn't been horrible, has he?
The other 3 are sort of wild cards.
Okay.
With Horton, Ray, Ben Brown sometimes,
Yeah,
Tyone.
right.
Anyway, so on the starting pitching side, I'm going to give you guys a few guys. And
Okay.
I just want you to think, who do you guys think the Cubs should really focus on? So from the top, Sandy Alcantara, Seth Lugo, Zach Gallen, Merrill Kelly, Walker Buehler, Zach Eflin, Tyler Mahle, and Luis Severino. So maybe 2 or 3 guys you guys each would choose for the Cubs to focus on.
That's a hell of a list. The guy that I've always been enthralled with for years is Walker Buehler. I really like him and loved him with the Dodgers. I think that he would be – I can't imagine he's costing that much, or is he? I don't know. Or in other words, would cost that much to get. He would maybe be one that I'd take a chance on. Here's the deal. Merrill Kelly's one of those guys that I think's better. He's probably a better fit for the Cardinals. He's only making like $7 million a year. He's kind of a workhorse. He's not a guy maybe that you're going to expect to go out and shut a team out, but he's going to give you like 6 quality innings, right, every time out. I don't know that the Cubs need – I mean, they need that, but they need more of a splash. Now, I like Gallen, although he's kind of had a rough year, I believe, including losing to the Cubs. And Alcantara has just not really fired back after that injury that he had that cost him a season, right? Was that last year or 2 years ago?
That was last year.
I guess I'd have to say I like Walker Buehler, so I would definitely take him. And then maybe one of either Alcantara or Gallen, and hope that you get lightning in a bottle with those guys and they all of a sudden have a huge second half. So I'm going to go with those two. And I want your opinion on this after Curtis.
Sounds good.
All right. Well, I wanted to look at a couple of stats real quick from that list. I mean, Alcantara's he's the name. He's the name out of everybody. But man, he hasn't been good. And maybe a change of scenery would be beneficial, and I still think they'd give up too much to get him.
Yes.
But
that's the thing. You got to kind of play into effect of what all we giving up.
I think if they were going to get anybody out of some of you said Mitch Keller, right? You did say Mitch in there somewhere. No, you didn't?
No.
Oh, I thought you did. Well, Mitch Keller was the guy that I've had on my
dominated the Cardinals.
I've had on my short list from the Pirates, but that's within the division, so you're probably going to have to give up a little bit more to get him. So probably Merrill Kelly. He's definitely on my list out of the Diamondbacks. Those are the 3 guys that
he's a workhorse guy.
Yeah. And what's he at right now? 7-4 on the year, 3.49 ERA. He's K'd 100 in 98 innings. That's pretty good.
Nothing wrong with that.
The best part of it, salary for this year is just $7 million, so you're not going to have to eat too much money. So I would say Merrill's probably the guy that I would focus on.
You know, the other thing, too, the Cubs got rid of already last year's high draft pick, right, in the Kyle Tucker trade.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one thing to remember, that they probably don't want to get too much in the weeds of having to give prospects away, but you're going to have to, though, to go get somebody. So we'll see what happens there. All right, Daniel, who would, out of that list, that's a good list right there, man, of some good possible pitchers that are available.
Yeah, I like what you said, Lon, about making a splash. I do think Alcantara, Gallen, or Buehler would be a good option if we're doing that. I'm not sure Buehler would even be on the table, or Gallen.
Yeah,
I think a lot of teams are going to be going after Alcantara, though. The thing that concerns me with him is his strikeout numbers are so low for someone who throws so hard.
Right.
He really doesn't strike out guys. And maybe, like you said, maybe a change of scenery would help.
Mm-hmm.
But another guy who that might help is Luis Severino.
Yeah.
And the thing for me is, if you're getting him from the Athletics, you're not going to have to eat too much anyway.
Right.
So, honestly, I'd probably put Severino up there with those guys.
They need to do at least one.
Yes, absolutely.
Right? They need to do one. The hard part for me would be the Gallen and Alcantara, former Cardinals.
Would you be able to handle that? Well, maybe that would make it. Maybe that's all they need is to pitch against St. Louis again.
I'm sure they would love that. They'd love to just come in and dominate the Cardinals. So who is the pitcher that always? There's always one guy. No, it's not a pitcher. It's Tommy Pham. He just kills the Cardinals.
Oh, Wham Bam Pham.
Yeah, of course, he left St. Louis in a huff. He wasn't happy with St. Louis, and I guess he kills the Cubs too, though, according to a couple of my Cubs buddies that I had a chat with about Pham.
You know what? I totally forgot he even existed.
Oh, he just
I don't pay attention to him.
You know who he is? Yeah, he's the new. Who was the third? Oh, Aramis Ramirez.
Ram Jam, my guy.
The guy that played for every team in the Central except the Cardinals. He was with the Cubs. He played with the Pirates. He played with the Brewers. I think he ended up on the Reds, and he absolutely slashed the Cardinals. I mean, it was like, wait a minute. I didn't know you were on the Reds. That's like, come on.
The Ram Jam.
We could not get away from Ramirez, and now we can't get away from Tommy Pham, who was with the Padres. Now he's with the Pirates. I don't know who else he's been with. A lot of people. So
maybe it's the AM sound. Ram
Maybe that's
Jam,
it.
Fam, wham, bam.
Next question.
All right, man.
Let's go. All right, hit the next one.
All right, so among this list, there are plenty of Cardinals. There's one guy you don't see on there, which is Sonny Gray.
Right.
So, and I'm just wondering, do you think that means he's off the table? He still does have another year after this on his contract. What are your thoughts on that?
I think that by now, and if there's one thing I do, I've always said, I don't know that I can talk eloquently about the NBA and you know, all of Major League Baseball, but I follow my teams pretty hard, right?
Yeah.
And I do not ever see talk of Sonny Gray moving anywhere. I just don't think the Cardinals want to make that happen. I think they like Sonny. They feel like they have an ace, even though he's not really your prototypical ace. He can throw like one. He can pitch like one. But he's a guy, I think, that they've got some young pitchers coming up in the next couple of years, and I think they want kind of a veteran like Sonny Gray there to kind of help kind of teach along the way. And I think that is important, you know, that guys understand and see what a guy like Sonny Gray does on his off days or the day of a game. You know, how's he work out? How's he get ready for a game? So I don't think Sonny Gray is something the Cardinals would trade. Now, if somebody really made a nice pitch to him, I'm guessing they would listen. And if you're the Cardinals, you'd be dumb not to. With regards to basically allowing anybody to be gone. So I just don't think Sonny's going anywhere. On a side note, did you see the Max Muncy injury for the Dodgers?
No. I heard about it, but didn't see it.
So he got slid into, he was at third. He kind of had to go up a little bit in the air to get a ball, and a guy head first slide, the helmet caught him right on the side of his kneecap as he was landing, and it looked bad. So I think Muncy's probably done for the year, I would assume. I wonder now if that Arenado to the Dodgers doesn't make sense.
There you go.
A lot of sense, because he is from California, grew up a Dodgers fan. That was like the one team that everybody assumed that Arenado would be traded to. I think this series coming up in Wrigley is the biggest series of the year as to whether or not the Cardinals sell or stay put. I don't know that they're going to go buy a lot. Now, if they got a Merrill Kelly, that'd be awesome. $7 million, you can handle that. I don't know if he's signed for next year. I doubt. I'm guessing Arizona's not. Wait, is he with Arizona?
Kelly?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm guessing they're not making him available if he's got another year on his contract. Because why would you?
Nah, you're going to rent him.
You're going to rent Merrill Kelly, I assume, for $7 million or part of $7 million.
Yeah.
So I think that's huge for the Cardinals. But or for anybody that gets him, I just think this series with the Cubs, if it goes splendidly bad for St. Louis, then I think that opens the door. Then, like, you know what, it's time to sell. So, but no, I don't think Gray's going anywhere. Curtis, would you agree?
No, I agree. And it would have to be probably at this point an astronomical haul.
Big time.
So, you know, that's a rabbit hole I don't think you even really need to get down. We don't need to even go down, because I do agree with you, Lon. I don't think Sonny's going anywhere. If you would have asked me that 2 weeks ago, I'd have gone, yeah, I think they're going to move him. I really do. But and then they keep clawing their way towards the top of the division and then back down and playing with your emotions. And that other guy that used to work here, they're messing with him a lot.
Whoever that is.
Whoever that guy was.
I will say this. The Cardinals season they've given me a little bit of fun to watch. I'll be honest with you. I was not expecting the Cardinals to be hanging around this long. And the idea that they're only 5 back, especially you're 5 back after getting swept by the Pirates and not even scoring a run, which is putrid. But the Cubbies even went on that a week ago or 2 weeks ago, didn't they? Then they went like 22 innings without scoring a run, which is hard to believe for that lineup that would happen. But yeah, at least the Cardinals have made it interesting to where I want to go home at night usually and watch the game, you know, and sometimes I turn it off quick if I need to, or sometimes it's on Apple TV and I can't watch it.
Here's a good one from Jeff on the Max
that's
City
right.
Recycling text
Good call,
line.
Jeff.
Yeah, remember, Sonny has a no trade clause. There you go.
Good call. So that would answer a lot
He'd have
of the
to approve
questions.
anything, yeah.
And that's always hard to get that through. And I know Arenado approved to like 6 teams. So I'm anxious to see if that. I mean, Arenado's had a pretty good season thus far, and has done some good things for the Cardinals, especially defensively, which he's always been unbelievable at. But Not hitting for a lot of power, but other than that, he's having a pretty good season. But it'll be interesting to see if the Dodgers want to go all in on a guy like Nolan Arenado. And I think if you're the Cardinals, you got to do it.
Yeah.
Next question. All right. Well, teasing towards this next question. The list, like I said, did have plenty of Cardinals on there. And it sort of looks like it has them taking a middle.
Did you just hit the mic?
I did just hit the mic with my phone. It's sort of taking like not quite full sell, not quite buying, certainly not. But it sort of has them maybe blowing up the bullpen a little bit, throwing. So it has Arenado, Helsley, Fedde. I'm not sure why anyone would want Fedde.
I agree with you.
Maton and Steven Matz. And I just want, I guess, your thoughts on any of those and as possible trade pieces.
If the Cardinals are going to take the initiative to sell, then they can sell all of them. And I don't mean that I don't like those guys. Phil Maton's been unbelievable. The kid from Chatham, Illinois. He's the only acquisition the Cardinals made this offseason, $2 million for Phil Maton. And he's been one of the best relievers. He's the Cardinals' best reliever this year. He's been one of the best relievers in baseball this year. So I would assume somebody would love to pick him up as like an eighth inning guy. He'd be the king of the hold, right? I mean, the old hold stat, he's got to have tons of them because he's been great every time he's come in. Helsley's the interesting one because you know what he's got, right? You know that his ability to save games is high. Last year he had an unbelievable season for the Cardinals, but this season he's actually blown, I think now 5 saves for the Cardinals. And that's not something that you normally see out of Helsley. He's run into some control problems a little bit, and believe it or not, guys are hitting him a little bit. They're hitting that fastball. So we'll see. I mean, we'll see what can happen there. Let's continue this bottom of next hour with a little next question. But Matt Silich, we're going to talk some NBA and ask where these Illinois guys are going to go and what it looks like for them. He's going to join us next. We're going to take our break. We're back. It is The Drive.
It's great when hard work and experience are recognized. Hi, this is Ryan Heiser, President and CEO of Fisher National Bank. I am thrilled to share that Fisher National has been ranked 7th in the nation as a top lender in mortgage loans among banks with asset size of $300 million to $1 billion by our National Banking Association. This recognition is a testament to our lending team's dedication and expertise. After all, better banking experiences start with local people and local decision making. If you're in the market for a new home or considering refinancing your existing home, let our team at Fisher National Bank earn your business and trust. We offer competitive rates with low closing costs, and we locally service almost all of our loans. Come see us with all your home mortgage needs and experience the top-notch service that has earned us national recognition. Learn more at fishernational.com or stop by one of our branches today.
Fisher National Bank, exceptional communities, exceptional people. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
At Christie Clinic, our commitment is for the care of our community. That commitment includes keeping care local, where our patients, their families, our clinics, and their hospital of choice are located. Our providers live and work here. It's their passion to care for their families and neighbors. Thank you for choosing Christie Clinic, your hometown provider. When you do, you support the health and well-being of your community.
Make an appointment today at ChristieClinic.com and click on online scheduling. Take care of yourself and put your health first.
Hey, all you backyard chefs and grill gurus, barbecue season is here, and I know that you're anxious to fire up that smoker or grill, but your yard needs mowed. Yes, your wife is getting hangry, but that grass isn't going to cut itself. What's an aspiring pitmaster going to do? Get the world's fastest mower, of course, a Dixie chopper from Dedicated Diesel in Urbana. They carry a full line of Dixie choppers from the Z2 and Magnum residential models up to the big Excalibur and classic commercial machines that can mow nearly 8 acres an hour. This is award-winning competition pitmaster Tim Onstott, and whether I'm cooking low and slow or hot and fast, I always have time to savor the flavor because my mowing time is cut down by Dixie Chopper, the world's fastest mower. Get your Dixie Chopper at Champaign-Urbana's only dealer, Dedicated Diesel, at 1313 Triumph Drive in Urbana, 217-328-0562.
We're talking to John Reichert from A&R Mechanical. 100 years in our community. So many buildings in this town, like Memorial Stadium. Of course, the State Farm Center. Can you remember the reaction from the company getting that? Because that's a big one.
Oh, that was huge. If you just think about it a little bit, everything we put in is straight, pipe is straight. We were putting all that into a round building. And, it took a lot of know-how to make that project happen. It was one of the first projects we did using our new technologies. And the timing was just right. We were the right people for that project, and I think we did it successfully.
The legacy of A&R. John, I could almost say, what haven't you built? Up and down campus, the Siebel Center was fairly new for computer science.
Everybody was working as a team, and I think it came out very well.
A&R Mechanical has helped build Carl at the Fields expansion and other Carl projects in Provena and Sarah Bush Lincoln. The list goes on and on. Visit them at ar-mech.com.
This is a Fox News alert. The president gets his bill. I'm Lisa Brady. Republicans celebrating after the House gave final approval to the sweeping tax cut and spending plan they call the Big Beautiful Bill.
Wages will rise. I think household income will go up. I think the job participation rate will increase dramatically. I think unemployment will be low. We're going to duplicate what we did in the first Trump administration.
House Speaker Mike Johnson able to usher the package through a narrow majority after long meetings with Republican holdouts, including meetings with President Trump. Fox Business's Grady Trimble on Capitol Hill.
First and foremost, the Big Beautiful Bill staves off what Republicans have warned would be the biggest tax hike in American history by preserving the tax cuts that President Trump ushered in during his first term. And then on top of that, there are two new provisions that were key to President Trump's campaign, promises that he made on the campaign trail. Those, of course, are no taxes on tips and no taxes on overtime. This bill makes taxes on tips deductible up to $25,000 and on overtime deductible up to $12,500 for individuals and twice that for couples.
Democrats say that's not good enough and that Medicaid changes will strip away health care and food assistance. House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries calling the bill immoral as he spoke against it for nearly 9 hours, setting a new House record.
Press on for democracy. We're going to press on until victory is won. I yield back.
Former President Biden posting that the bill is reckless and cruel. President Trump says it will launch an economic boom. He plans a signing ceremony tomorrow. One Republican House member is set to leave Congress. Tennessee Congressman Mark Green, who had previously said he would step down, has just made it official. Now that Big Beautiful Bill is done, his last day will be July 20th. America is listening to Fox News.
Do you have 3 ex-wives and your current trophy wife wants a life insurance policy 3 times the size of the policies you had to purchase for your previous mistakes? If so, you need to call Big Lou at Term Provider, 800-777-1225. Big Lou is intimately familiar with your problems, and if you're 50 or 60 years old and in reasonably good health, a $1 million policy should only cost about $100 to $200 per month. Big Lou may have a solution for your previous policies as well. You may even save enough money to lighten the load on your new $1 million policy. Remember, call Big Lou. He's like you, except he's only on number 2. Call Term Provider at 800-777-1225. That's 800-777-1225 for $1 million in term life insurance that you can live with. Call Big Lou at 800-777-1225. 800-777-1225.
A prominent boxer is being deported and facing criminal charges in Mexico.
Mexican boxer Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. has been arrested by Immigration and Customs Enforcement and is being processed for expedited removal from the United States. According to the Department of Homeland Security, Chavez, a Mexican citizen, has an active arrest warrant in his home country for his involvement in organized crime and trafficking firearms, ammunition, and explosives. Chavez was arrested in Studio City, California on Wednesday days after the former middleweight champion lost a boxing match against Jake Paul.
Fox's Joe Morgan. Homeland Security says Chavez is a suspected cartel member who overstayed a tourist visa, then lied on a green card application, and that despite being flagged by ICE as a public safety threat last year, had been allowed to re-enter the country under the Biden administration. A sudden loss in Hollywood.
Michael Madsen, the gravel voice tough guy who became the Quentin Tarantino staple, has died at 67 years old. The actor was found unresponsive Thursday morning at his Malibu home, according to the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department. Known for his menacing charm, Madsen was a fixture in Tarantino's films.
Fox's Michelle Polino. Those films include Reservoir Dogs and the Kill Bill series, but his career spanned many more. His younger sister, actress Virginia Madsen, telling Variety her big brother was Thunder in Velvet and a poet disguised as an outlaw. His representatives telling Fox News Digital Madsen died from cardiac arrest. A better jobs report than expected, despite continued uncertainty over tariffs.
There were 147,000 new jobs created. Economists estimated only 110,000. June's unemployment rate improved to 4.1%.
Fox's Ginny Cosola. Wall Street rallied, the Dow up 344, the S&P up about 52 to a new record close, 62.79. The Nasdaq also hitting a new high, topping 20,600, up 207. I'm Lisa Brady, Fox News.
Little frozen in time for a minute there.
Yeah, the buttons weren't buttoning.
Oh, we needed a little freeze frame.
Look, we got a freeze frame, and now we got rat and roll.
Let's do a little rat. Daniel's never even heard of rat. He's down there like, nope, honestly, I haven't. All right, it is The Drive. Lante, Curtis Allen, Daniel Herzog here. And it is time to head to the Tapman's Towing phone line. We're going to talk some NBA, but really more of a Illinois lean and on this NBA chatter, because I wanted to bring Matt, who, of course, former intern years ago here at SJ Broadcasting, and a young man that has entered the professional world and done very well for himself, but we still love having him on because he is our resident NBA expert, and he knows more about it. He's a geek about it, and I think Matt will even agree to that. So, Matt, we are wearing you out, man, but you're back for one more show. You can do this.
My eyes are weak. They're fading. I'm losing consciousness. I'm going to give you everything I got today, but I'm a college pitcher whose coach is like, I'm only trying to win the College World Series. I don't care about your future. Go out there and give me 150 through 9 innings.
Silich at 138 pitches is taking the mound again. This is interesting. Cut him, Rock. Wasn't that the Curtis? You're the king of the.
That's right.
You're the king of the music.
Cut me, Mick.
Cut me, Mick. That's what it was. That's what it was. All right, Matt Silich. So the goal today, as I had sent you a text, is to chat a little bit about the Illinois guys now in the NBA and kind of a path that they have to playing. So I want to start with the more of the veteran, and we'll work our way down to the rookies, and that would be Ayo. And as Curtis said earlier in the show, a lot of talk right now about Ayo possibly being traded from the Bulls. So when it comes to Dosunmu, what do you think do you think he gets traded? And if so, would there be maybe a spot that you'd like to see him go? And if B, not traded, what does it look like for Ayo this year in Chicago? Can he get some more playing time and continue to kind of add to that Bulls team?
Yeah, he's in an interesting spot right now as Ayo Dosunmu. So basically, where the Bulls are at, just as a wider team, is, as always, they are stuck in this perpetual. Are they trying to win? How much are they trying to win? I guess they are trying to win. Okay, they're going to win 39 games and get into the play-in. They're in a tough spot, and I think they're deciding. They have a lot of decisions coming out of this offseason about how their backcourt is going to, proceed into the future seasons, right? So they have the Josh Giddey extension question. They have the potential to entering next year, so not this offseason, right, but next offseason. I believe both Kobe White and Ayo Dosunmu will be unrestricted free agents. And for those who may not be as familiar with the NBA parlance, after your first few years following the draft, most players end up being a restricted free agent, and that's where your team can basically match any offer that another team gives you in free agency. So you're almost certainly going to stay with your team. That's why we see most players, once you're drafted, like Cooper Flagg, for example, it's very unlikely he plays any fewer than like 8 years with the Mavericks, which is why it's so valuable to get a great draft pick, because that's how restricted free agency works. Now that he's an unrestricted free agent, Ayo is going to have a lot more freedom to choose where he wants to play next summer, and I think he can view this coming season as almost, it's his contract year. It's as we've seen across all sports, that is a huge moment for a player who's now a veteran, has been established in the league. He has a role that he typically plays. It's usually for him, a two-way guard who has some playmaking, some scoring, makes his hay on defense. Generally speaking, is just good at a lot of different things. He's a jack of all trades, master of none type of player. Right. And a lot of teams can use a role guy like that. I will say, based on how things are proceeding and how Coby White broke out in the second half of last year, and he's just kind of had like 3 consecutive years of breakouts. He just keeps getting a little bit better every year, to a lot better, really. I think the Bulls are probably going to come back to Coby White as the guy they want to move forward with in the long term. Now, if I were running the Bulls, I see no reason why you can't keep both of these guys between injuries and all the other stuff. But, if you're moving forward with Josh Giddey, you need sort of a microwave scorer, a shooter next to Josh Giddey, because he does not bring scoring and he does not bring outside shooting. That's where Coby White can be so valuable. And Ayo is obviously not quite there as a shot creator or scorer. So in my opinion, the Bulls are most likely to try to sign Coby White to an extension or try to get him on a longer contract after next year. And that's why you're seeing these trade rumors that they might deal Ayo, because for some reason, maybe they have an inkling that he wants to go elsewhere for a larger role.
Fair enough.
I'm not sure exactly what it is, but I think that's why you might see him dealt this offseason, because they're trying to get ahead of his contract year, and they kind of know what his value is. Other teams around the NBA know what his value is right now. It's in a pretty good spot, right? So he could come out next year, and if he struggles for any reason, injuries or just poor performance or doesn't get the minutes, doesn't have a clear role, whatever that case may be, it's a fairly safe time to try to trade him. So that's why I think you're seeing some of these rumors.
Great breakdown. I know Curtis Allen is wanting to ask you a question, but I've got to tell you about this savage move that Derek Piper just pulled on us, Matt.
What happened?
On the text line, as I'm hearing Matt talk about Ayo, there comes up a picture of a golf course and a little Bluetooth, looks like speaker that possibly could be being listened to our show, and it's from Derek Piper that says, "Big fan of the show." That's savage, man. That is terrible, Piper. May you slice this next ball into the water.
Yeah. You know what happened to Chubb's pipe in Happy Gilmore?
Right.
All right. Just keep that in mind, buddy. There's gators out there.
So there you go, Matt. Your voice is being thrown out all around Central Illinois golf courses now with Derek Piper, a big fan of the show, mind you. So, Curtis, I'll let you take over from here, but I had to throw that in. Thank you, Derek, for listening.
Yes, thank you. Well, Matt, I wanted to ask you about another Illini alum that got some minutes in the playoffs last year, and we've had a few people hit us up on the text line about Terrence Shannon. And there's a lot of people curious why he would be playing in the Summer League and maybe what the plans are for him going forward.
Yeah, so I think Terrence Shannon is I know a decent bit about his situation being based in Minneapolis now. I've heard a lot of the local stories around him and how people are feeling about him entering this next year. I think he's in a great spot. It's Chris Finch, the coach of the Timberwolves, is not really a big developer of talent. And I don't say that to say he's not a good coach. I think guys get better under him. What I mean is he's sort of in the Thibodeau mold of I kind of play my veterans, right? I'm not gonna risk losing regular season games necessarily to build up a young guy. So that's why I think it's so telling that Shannon played as much as he did in last year's playoff run, including during the playoffs, right? Especially during the playoffs. When they needed a guy to produce, when they needed a spark off the bench, they were going to TJ. So that's a huge win for him because, again, that's not really how Chris Finch coaches the team, generally speaking, right? He usually is I'm going to stick to my guys kind of coach. And in those key moments, when they needed some shooting, when they needed somebody to get to the rim, he was going to Shannon over and over again throughout their playoff run. So that's what makes me so encouraged about his potential role next season. the other piece of this is the Wolves have made a couple moves already during this offseason. They re-signed Naz Reid to a long-term large deal, and they re-signed Julius Randle to a long-term large deal. So their front court is basically set with Gobert, Julius Randle, and Naz Reid, same as it was this last year. And then to do that, to be able to absorb the cost of those two guys and those extensions, they actually had to let go of Nickeil Alexander-Walker, who was basically their top 2, 3, shooting guard, small forward, wing, reserve off the bench last season. Well, what does that do? That opens up minutes for another wing to come off the bench. And to me, it signals the fact that they were so willing to let Alexander Walker go signals that Shannon, maybe they're going to be ready to put more of that trust in him. Even a couple other guys got waived by them. I think Josh Minot was one of them. He was a guy who maybe would be able to snag some minutes on the wing. He's now out of the picture. Things are clearing up, and I think, I haven't read anyone in the know saying yet, like, they're pivoting to Shannon. But I think if you're reading the tea leaves, it's pretty aggressively showing that they're ready to trust him with a larger role. Awesome. He's going to have to earn it again. This is a coach who's not going to mess around in the regular season. He wants winning. But I think we know Terrence Shannon plays winning basketball, and I'm excited to see what he can do this year.
Great breakdown. It's interesting to me, Matt, and I kind of know the answer, I think, here, but it's interesting to me that when you look back at the last few Illini, like with Myers Leonard, Ayo, and now Shannon, it always seems like the path to get to that playing time is not easy. And I know that's very similar to most of the guys that get drafted, right? It's not like – now Cooper Flagg is going to be starting right away for the Mavericks, obviously, and playing big minutes. But for a lot of guys, it's just – like, for instance, I focus on these guys because they're Illinois players, and I don't focus on a guy who's from Kentucky necessarily unless he's with my beloved Sixers. But, it's one of those situations where, if people are out there going, gosh, why can't these guys just get more minutes? This is kind of the way it works most of the time, isn't it?
This is the way it works. I would say you're really only guaranteed rookie year minutes if you're in the very top tier of prospects. You're probably going in the top 3 or 5. And none of the guys we've talked about on the Illini side have really gone at that high a level, right? Talking top 5, future of the franchise level picks. If you're not at that level, they're probably trying to work you in. Because as soon as you get to, let's say, pick number 10, you're probably going to a team that was trying to make the playoffs last year. Now, in the top 5, it's a bit of a mix, right? And now they have more flattened lottery odds. So a team like Dallas, who tried for the playoffs this past year, is able to get that number 1 pick anyway. So that's, good for them. They got lucky. But typically those teams are going to be more toward the bottom of the league. Your Sacramento Kings, your, Charlotte Hornets, your New Orleans Pelicans. Those are the teams that are regularly at the top of the draft. And they're not regularly competing for the playoffs. So that's where it's like, okay, instant minutes, because there's nobody ahead of you. Where we see some of these guys getting picked, and certainly Will Riley and KJ fall in this category, being picked at 20 and 21 of this past draft, you're going to slightly better teams. Right? So it's not going to necessarily be easy. In Will Riley's case, he went to the Wizards, so this actually is going to work out fairly well for him, potentially. But
they've never been good.
If you're getting picked, typically if you're getting picked between 7 and 60, you're probably going to have to work hard for your playing time because there's just so many good players in the NBA, and it's an obvious thing to say. But I think if you step back for a second and you look at it from the perspective of what happens in Major League Baseball, top prospects. Usually, unless you're a Bryce Harper type, you're not even getting to the pros until you're 23 or whatever. A lot of these guys are coming into the league at age 19, 20, 21. It's not crazy that it maybe takes them a year or two to find their footing, to get a defined role on the team. And I think it's kind of sensible, even though it feels in the moment but that's my guy. Why are we not seeing more minutes? It's usually because there's a lot of guys out there. There just are.
Great. Well said again by Matt Sillage. I want to ask you, before we dig into KJ and Will and what you think it'll look like for them, how surprised were you of how much KJ fell, and were you surprised that Will kind of moved up a little bit, because it seemed like he was more in the 24 or around that range, and where he moved up to 21. Let's be honest, it was cool to see him go back-to-back. But were you surprised at the fall of KJ and then maybe a little bit of a rise of Will?
I was surprised, but then I think retroactively thinking about it, and of course hindsight is 20/20, but there's a similar evolution that happens, and I think this is across multiple sports. that happens during the pre-draft season. And you see this, again, football, baseball, everywhere. In basketball, I think it's at its highest. Guys who are maybe more ability-based in what they're doing, so skill-based players. That's where I'm talking about like a KJ. Not to say Will Riley doesn't have skill, but you'll see what I mean in a second. Guys who are not about their size, their speed, their strength, impressing with their athleticism, I think those are the guys who tend to fall during draft, pre-draft, pre-draft conversations and the combine and other areas where they're testing primarily your athletic ability. I feel like you might tend to see guys who are more like KJ, who play basically off having great feel for the game. That can be a little bit tougher for a guy like him. Whereas a guy like Will Riley is someone who you look at him and you're like, basketball player, easy, done.
Yeah.
Right? Like
Yep.
insanely long arms, great athlete. I think he is someone who you kind of have the opposite effect potentially of like, well, he's just going to look really, really good in workouts and stuff. He's going to be very athletic. You can see how he might eventually adapt his game. And you're kind of saying like, well, he'll figure out some of the feel stuff. Again, not to say he doesn't have ability and skill and feel. He has all those things. But I think we saw with the Atlanta this past year, like KJ was the guy who was leading that offense for the vast majority of the season because he had such a good grasp of how the game played out. So even going back to probably the most high-profile version of this decision we've ever seen was when Luka Doncic was in the draft and was basically never in contention for pick number 1 seriously, even though he obviously should have been. He was like a EuroLeague MVP at age 15 or whatever it was. Wow. He was the best player in the draft. It was very clear that he dropped because people had that question of like, well, he's not that athletic. Like, can he do it here? He doesn't really look like your traditional guy. And who goes ahead of him at the number 1 spot at least, but DeAndre Ayton, who is built like, Dwight Howard level. This is Superman. Like, This guy is a crazy athlete who had played really well at Arizona, but it was not a skill-based player. So I think what we're seeing with the fall of KJ and the rise of Will Riley was probably sort of a microcosm of that larger dynamic that takes place every draft season. If you're a more skill-based guy, there are some doubts about your athleticism. It's a little bit harder for teams to pull the trigger. And if you're maybe a guy who they're like, well, I know this guy has a quote NBA body, it's a little bit easier for them to say, well, we'll develop him, we'll figure it out.
Matt Silich brings the goods, and that's why we have him on so often, and that's why he's only got a few more innings in him. But you do. So, okay, now that you said that, and that's a very interesting way to look at that, one that I've never really kind of studied at or thought about that much. But now that you know where these guys are going, what do you see? I think we all kind of probably understand where Will Riley is going to, maybe not right away, play a lot of basketball in the NBA, but down the road possibly could. How about KJ? He's the one for me that I'm interested to see how often he can get on the court. What do you think of his chances of playing a little bit of some minutes or even heavier minutes this season?
Yeah, it's actually probably a pretty good question to consider of who's going to play more minutes in their first year. And I think it's the reason that you're uncertain about it is because, well, one, you have a guy who is clearly more of a project player, more of a great athlete who is still building his skills, but clearly improved at a great pace during his time at Illinois. I'm talking about Will, right? He is going to Washington, though, where the roster is always wide open. It is those starting spots are waiting for somebody to grab them. So if he shows good effort and he plays good ball early on, you can see him starting for that team by the end of this season. If he, hits sort of his highest possible outcome, like he's having the best possible first season he can,
that'd be so
I think
awesome.
He'll be the starter by the end of the year because who else is there, right? With KJ, I find it hard to believe that he's going to start at all this season just because the Heat have like real NBA players on that roster, right? Like there's Tyler Hero, who's kind of been their lead guard. They have Andrew Wiggins, Davion Mitchell is on that team. They have Terry Rozier, who I think might be hurt, but they have a lot of guys who can fill out those guard spots. And again, the Heat are one of those teams with a coach who doesn't really mess around with young guys, right? Spoelstra is not a guy who is like, yeah, you know what, we can sacrifice this regular season game and I'll throw in KJ and get him a few, minutes to build up his talent. I don't really see that. All that being said, I think KJ is clearly a more polished pro player than Will Riley at this point. And it's not like the guys ahead of him are like standout all-stars. Tyler Hero is But Davion Mitchell is like, he brings a very different skill set. They don't really have a guy with the skill set of KJ, a guy who is primarily looking to pass and more so occasionally looking to score. Everybody in that backcourt is either, in Miami, is either a guy who's probably trying to shoot, like Tyler Hero or Andrew Wiggins, or a guy who's trying to play defense, like Davion Mitchell. And Terry Rozier goes in the shooter category too, right? So that's where I think, okay, well, now he fills a different role than what they have. And the other thing about the Heat is, for as much as Spoelstra is not a guy who will toss undeserved regular season minutes at prospects, certainly the Miami Heat are arguably the best team in the entire league at developing guys into NBA level players. Duncan Robinson is like a great example of somebody who, like, at Michigan, it's like, yeah, he's a good player. He goes to the Heat. He ends up turning into a guy who's made hundreds of millions of dollars in his career.
Yeah.
Right? So that's a great example of, like, this is the team that probably is going to be able to get the most out of KJ, whatever he ends up being.
Duncan Robinson will always go down as the guy that I'm like, really? I did not have him on my bingo card having this huge NBA career and not just like some journeyman sticking around. He's been really good. That's unbelievable you say that. All right, last one for you, Matt. I got somebody finally warming in the bullpen. The Bulls went and got a Frenchman and an Aussie. I can't say either one of their names. I'll try. The Lachlan Ulbrich, and, of course, Noah. So what do you think of those two, and what do you got with should the Bulls be excited about Noah, whoever?
So to be honest, the prospect here would be Noah. I think it's Esenge. I'm not 100% sure, but I believe it's Esenge. We can double check it later to make sure that I'm right. But I would say it's like it was a very interesting pick, and to be honest, at the time I was excited. I was thinking like maybe they're going to go for Jakob Šeminits. Like maybe that's where we're headed, right?
Same.
They picked Illini players in the recent past, but we didn't see that. We saw a guy. They picked more of a project. What's interesting about Esenge is I don't know that he has superstar upside. Like when you read the reports about him, it's like, yeah, he could be a really good defensive player eventually, but he needs to kind of lock it in. He's a really good athlete. He's a great rebounder, but he's not really a passer. Typically, the guys that we see excel and become stars are people who have always throughout their career shown some element of passing and ball control and being a team player. I'm not saying he's not a team player, but this was one of the more odd picks of the first round to me. I'm not saying don't get excited. Like it seems like he's a pretty good athlete. He's one of those guys who has played professionally already by virtue of being overseas. So he has already gotten some of that professional experience that a guy like Luka Doncic did before he came over, right? A very different player. I would say it's not to say don't get excited for this draft or anything, but I just have to say I'm probably more of a wait and see because we don't have a lot of great frames of reference to go off of. It's not like we saw this guy play against Kentucky last year. I would say it's a bit more of an unknown, and he's looking like more of an athletic project, but could be a great defender down the line is kind of what I've heard. And maybe isn't that great a shooter or passer now, but he's more of a raw prospect who's a great athlete, and they're going to see what they can get out of him.
Matt Cilic, unbelievable always, and we really did kind of wear you out quite a bit this year. But I appreciate, and it's cool because as an Illini grad, talking about, I know it's pretty cool for you to see these Illinois guys getting into the NBA, the sport you love so much. So it'll be fun, and we'll have to check in with you as the season progresses and kind of get your thoughts on how things are working for that. And here's hoping Ayo stays in Chicago. Here's hoping Terrence Shannon has a pretty large role, not large, but a solid role with the T-Wolves, and then we'll see how the Rooks do as well. Matt, you're a wonderful man. Have a great 4th of July, and we will talk to you again soon, my friend.
I appreciate it. Thank you all. The thing I always like to say is that I think I went to Illinois during the worst 4-year stretch of the major sports in history.
I forgot you had that title.
I believe it's the worst, 2013 to 2017, which was 0 NCAA tournament appearances on the men's side or the women's side, and 1 bowl game, which was the 2014 or 15 Heart of Dallas Bowl that they lost to Louisiana Tech. And I believe like Houston Bates was the linebacker on that team who had transferred from Illinois and then forced a fumble in the game.
I forgot about that play.
He had
So
like
that-
30
that
tackles that day.
Yeah.
To be clear, that game is probably the athletic highlight of my time at Illinois, was getting to the Heart of Dallas Bowl. So the fact that we're now in this place where we've got multiple guys in a draft class every year, we've got bona fide NBA players, we've got guys getting it together on the football side, you've got draft picks there, stars in the league like Devin Witherspoon. This is great. I mean, we're living in the golden era. This is awesome.
You gave me this idea. Wouldn't it be cool? You got to a certain age, and it's like, all right, we're going to let you go back to college, and you get to pick your 4-year stretch, right? And it's like, well, yeah, I want the team to win. I want to have some fun. That is, I always forget that you were here during the. Well, and here's the bad news, Matt. We had to talk about that crap on the radio every day.
yeah. Well, I remember it was tough. We were getting excited for West Lunt, and God love West Lunt, but man, we were having a hard time.
We use the word Oski. Oh, I tell you. We had a lot of interns back then, and we needed every one of them because we needed somebody to bring content every day. It's like we need something to talk about. Well, Matt, listen, buddy, again, I always cherish when you come on. It's been cool to watch, and I know you're not in the media game anymore, but it's been cool to watch your ascension as a professional and a young man that is now doing very well, and it's always fun to hear your voice and to come back on. So much appreciated, and we'll do it again, I promise.
I appreciate you guys. Looking forward to coming back, and we'll talk about how Terrence Shannon's leading the Wolves in points. He's overtaken Anthony Edwards in his role. Yeah, that's what I'm looking forward to.
Yeah, and we don't need Pipes either, do we? Forget him.
No.
Exactly. Who? All right, Matt, have a great
Enjoy the
weekend.
golf.
Yeah, exactly. Have a great weekend, my friend.
Have a good one, guys.
Matt Silich getting it done from Minnesota.
Matt's the goods, man.
He is, man. He loves the NBA more than anybody loves anything, I think. like we should all love something besides our kids, which I know we do.
I was like, I hope Andrew is listening to you right now.
Oh, are you kidding me? Go fight in the line. You think Andrew listens to this show? Little punk. I think he does actually once in a while. I know Lucas listens. When he gets off work, then he listens to the podcast on his way home.
Oh, that's cool. That's nice.
25-minute drive from Phoenix back to Tempe.
Yeah.
So I think he does listen because a lot of times he'll text me later at night and say, hey, here's my thought on what you guys were talking about today and stuff. So that's kind of cool. Yeah. I've always wondered, for our kids, if it's cool that we do this. Does that make sense? I mean, it's kind of a unique job.
For my kiddos, they think it's cool that Daddy's on the radio. They think it's cool. They get excited when they hear my voice on a commercial or any of that sort of stuff. They get pretty fired up about that. So
that's so funny. When I hear my voice on a commercial, I turn it as fast as I can.
No,
I cannot stand hearing me on a commercial, except for the one that Trevor and I do about the weeds. Order.
I just heard that commercial.
Yeah, except for that one.
That's pretty good.
Except for that one. Weeds, you're out of here.
Yeah. Judge Lawn.
Judge Lawn. I've always said, so I'm the king of the one take. I don't know if you do this. If whenever Diane needed me to do a commercial for Game Day Spirit or something, I would come in, I would grab the copy, not even read it, and I would just do it. It's like a talent. It truly is a talent, and that's not even me bragging about myself, but I'm always able to do that. But sometimes I'll go back and listen to the commercial, and I'm like, well, Lon, your inflection made no sense there because this is what they were wanting to get out of that. And there was one time that I actually went to Trevor and said, I want to redo that commercial because the way I say it it was supposed to be more of a question, and I said it more of a statement or vice versa. I don't know. Or is that how you say that, vice versa?
Works for me.
I don't even know.
I'm too tired to consider English languages right now. See, I said English languages.
English languages.
There's only one, as it turns out.
I think you're right on that.
I don't know.
What the hell?
I'll do some Googling.
Well, we have some news on Curtis Allen that we want to talk about when we come back. And we have some news on the show that I want to talk about when we come back. And Daniel, you probably still have a couple questions on your next question. I want to get at least one more Cubs question out if we can. Because I think you were going to go maybe in the direction of maybe a third baseman or something, or were you? I don't even know. But maybe I'll just ask you two as Cubs fans about maybe besides the starting pitcher, what else would you do if the Cubs were going to do something? And we'll get you ready because the Cubs-Cardinals, man, that's tomorrow. And here we go for a 3-gamer at Wrigley Field, which is always a fun time. So if you want to weigh in, 359-2255. That's the Max Twin City Recycling text line. Appreciate Matt Silich joining us on the Tapman's Towing phone line. I also want to do a little bit of a 4th of July send-off, too. We have to, right?
We did a toast yesterday with pipes, but we got to do one for the 4th. We got to, baby. We
totally do that. So we'll do all that. We got a lot to do then for the next 27 minutes.
A lot.
We promise we'll get it done. We're back. It is The Drive.
From computer systems to brakes and tires too, at PDR, fixing cars is what they do. Remember, when you turn the key and the car won't run, call 367-9481 or use their dedicated text-only line at 383-0619. Additional information including repair quotes and online scheduling requests available from the website at pdrauto.com. Remember, they are what's best for your truck or car. They are PDR.
Urbana's Market at the Square has been cultivating a vibrant scene in CU since 1979. Get to know your farmers bringing locally harvested honey, crafts, jewelry, art, fresh cut flowers, plus produce including fresh leafy greens and root vegetables, fresh baked treats, and a wide selection of proteins. Going on now, every Saturday, 7 a.m. till noon, rain or shine at Illinois and Vine, it's Urbana Market at the Square. Find Urbana Market on Facebook or urbanamarket.org.
Hey, Cardinal fans, hydrate like a champ. Head to the ballpark Saturday, July 12th as the Cardinals take on the Braves. That day, 20,000 fans 16 and older score a City Connect tumbler courtesy of Coca-Cola and Quick Trip. Stay cool and sip in style all summer long with this 30-ounce stainless steel tumbler. Don't miss out on this fan-favorite giveaway. Grab your tickets today at cardinals.com/promotions.
This is Nolan Gorman, St. Louis Cardinals for the Lou.
Jets is hiring. Call 217-352-9992 or stop into 1907 West Springfield Avenue near Round Barn in Champaign. Jets is open till 10 p.m., Fridays and Saturdays till midnight. Are you looking for a side hustle? Here's Josh from Jets talking about the benefits of doing deliveries.
When I was a delivery driver, it was amazing how much the actual amount of money I had just shot right up. It's hard to describe. You have money in your pocket every single day.
For details on joining the team, visit jetspizza.com.
Sarah Champagne Managing Partner Ben Quattrone.
We're always looking for people. You can go online and apply on our website. We never know what we're going to need. We're always expanding. We're always building more and growing our business. If we don't need a person and they come along and we find out that they're an eagle, they're a star, we'll hire them. We'll put them somewhere and wait for the spot we're going to have them working.
Learn more at sarahchampagne.com. Captain Joe McCullough has graced our studios now.
Tell us what's up with the 4th of July, Joe.
Yeah, all the first responders, all the public works, everybody who's involved on the 4th of July, everything you don't see. We get together, prior to the event just to talk through and make sure that everybody's jobs are covered. We talk through contingency plans and everything else. So that's kind of what we do there. And this is a little bit of a different year. We have a change in the parade route and the parade time. We wanted that to continue. We had a need for volunteers, that we needed more to do the same parade route that we have. And we didn't feel comfortable doing that 1.5 mile long route with not enough volunteers and enough positions to staff that. We didn't want it to stop.
But without volunteers, you can't even do this thing, right?
It's the essence of getting it done and getting it done safely. And it's a community event. And we're not asking for volunteers to come out for the full 16 hours. We can do mornings, afternoons.
Thanks for all you're doing. Captain Joe McCullough, University of Illinois Police, our law enforcement official of the month for July.
Piper's playing this right now as he's getting ready to putt. 12-footer for an 8 on 4. Oh, and he pushed it past. Pushed it past. What? Oh, and he gives himself a gimme on about a 3-foot uphill coming back. I don't know if that's fair, but we'll give Pipes a 9.
How many mulligans do you think he's given himself today?
Oh, a ton.
Tons.
Yeah, come on. He sucks at golf. I'm no longer being nice to Derek Piper.
He sucks at golf.
I gave him a hug when we left last night, and I was like, I'm done being nice to you. He's like, I love it. He he wasn't feeling any pain.
Man, I wish I could have stayed longer. I was having fun.
I
with
know. It was good. It was good. We needed that. Like,
yeah,
all of us needed it, but especially Derek and I. You know, it was just a good.
Yeah.
It was a good way to kind of put a cap on what's been a great 6 years at the radio station. So, interesting stuff. I said we'd start with the Cubs, but let's start with that a little bit.
Okay.
I know a lot of people are wondering, you know, what's going to happen next, who's joining next, et cetera. Is Curtis here to stay, et cetera? We've got news on that, so I want you to take the platform now, or to take the mic, if you will.
All right. Well, I've got one over here.
Okay, go ahead and use it, my friend.
Well, full transparency, coming into this, we weren't sure if this would be a long-term thing for me or not. This was sort of a let's see what happens for the summer, and I have to give credit to Stevie J, and Stevie told me, you know, hey, I can't offer you something full-time right now.
Right.
And I said, I just full transparency, I've been working on some other stuff, trying to, you know, do some work full-time elsewhere, and I've got a couple of offers and interviews, etc. And he goes, I'm rooting for you, so whatever happens.
And I know he is.
Yeah.
I mean, I can promise you that.
And yeah, it was just sort of how it worked out, and a full-time position to do marketing for the iHotel and Conference Center in Champaign. Kind of popped up, and I had applied for it, and I got the job, and so I
had actually applied for that as well. So thanks.
I knew that, as a matter of fact. Yeah,
I thought I was going to get it.
Yeah,
really appreciate that.
Yeah,
that stab in the back there.
That's actually why I applied. I was looking over your shoulder. I saw you filling out.
What's he doing there? No, I kid, but no, I'm happy for you on that, and I'll shut up now.
Well, you know, so I'm going to start with that on Monday. So
Okay.
I've got a new job, and this is a really cool opportunity for me and for my family. And I've had more than one person go, well, so are you done with radio? No,
I hope not.
I don't think so. I don't. And Stevie and I have been in constant contact about that, and we've talked about ways that I can continue to contribute, whether that's with the drive going forward or you know, 93.5 in general. We've talked about me being a part of, in some way, US 105.9, which I have been on the air for the last couple of months as well.
Sure.
With Rob Stone and Diane Ducey, and we've talked about maybe is there a role for me with Q96, because most of my career has been working in top 40
right,
or in country radio. And so I do want to say this, and I know this is coming off the heels of Derek's announcement yesterday, and he deserves all the love that he got yesterday.
Absolutely.
But when I was a kid, this is what I wanted to do. I wanted to work in sports. Maybe that made me a weird little guy, but when I was a kid, this is what I wanted to do.
Well, then I'm weird with you, I guess.
Yeah.
And Daniel's really weird.
Yeah, because he's hanging out with us.
Yeah, right.
But I never got the chance to do sports talk radio until Stevie had reached out to me back in, I think that was late April, and said, hey, would you be interested in, you know, maybe this would just be for part of the summer or all the summer, but would you be interested in doing something with Lon and Derek? And yeah, I absolutely was. And I said this to you guys off the air, and I don't know if I said it on the air, but I'm not BSing. I mean this sincerely. This has been the most fun I've ever had in my career.
That's cool.
And
you did say that on the air.
And I mean that. I want to emphasize that. I don't say that lightly. And I've got to do some cool stuff, and I've got to have a lot of fun. But this is the most fun I've had doing radio probably ever in my career. And
I think it's so cool because from afar, I've always been a fan of yours.
And I appreciate that very much, man.
I mean, you know, I think sometimes people look at media people and think, well, ooh, he works for Wixie. I wonder if they're competing against them. And it's like, we're not like that. Like, like I appreciate what you go through at, you know, when you were at a different channel, but I always was a fan of you, always have believed in your talent. You've got major talent. You got major market talent.
I appreciate that very much.
And the coolest thing about this, while I'm not going to lie to you, it was weird at first because I was like, what are we doing? Like, you know, because Kyle had left, and Pipes and I have done the show alone plenty of times. So we didn't, you know, we weren't like sitting there like looking at Stevie going, boy, if you don't get a third guy, we're not going to be able to do the show.
Right.
And then all of a sudden, Stevie's like, hey, I've got a guy, Curtis Allen's going to, I'm like, oh, I know Curtis. And he's like, well, he's going to come in. And I'm like, okay. And I remember Pipes and I the day before you started probably, or you know, looking at each other, and Pipes is like, how's this going to work? I'm like, I'm not sure. I don't know. I don't know
Mm-hmm.
if he's going to want to be part of the show or if he's just going to sit there and push buttons. And
No, I came into this under the impression that maybe I was just board op kind of thing.
yeah, but it worked out great that you weren't just that.
And I said to Derek on day one, I was like, hey, man, I don't want to jump in or step on anybody's toes. And Derek was like, no, feel free to, feel
Absolutely.
to chime in. And so that's what I was like, all right, well, if I say something and if I can make Pipes laugh, if I can make this, I've said this on the air, coach, if I can make him laugh,
exactly,
then we're going to be cool and we're going to be fine. And then, and then, Andrew had a few games. You came into the station to do the first show with all three of us a few days after that. And, everybody knows Lonsky, you have a big personality and it is so great on the air. And that's why so many people love you, man.
Well, thank you.
And it was so much fun instantly. It's like just this instant chemistry with the three of us. And so that's why this kind of sucks that
it does.
that it's all happened like this. But where I was going with all this, with doing some sports talk is something I've always wanted to do since I was a little guy. And so if this is all I get to do with sports talk, I feel like God gave me a nice little nugget here to send me off into the sunset
That's cool.
for at least the immediate future. So so I'm going to be doing marketing with the iHotel, and like I said, we're working on to see if there's ways I can keep contributing here. I mean,
awesome.
you're going to still hear my voice on commercials and stuff like that. I'm always going to do that stuff.
Very cool.
Around town. So,
and we don't have to be in tremendous shape. We don't have to be tremendously young. We don't have. This is a job you just have to talk into a mic.
Yeah.
And that's a reason why I think there's still a future for you in this. And I hope you knock it out with the
Thank you.
iHotel.
Thank
And
you.
I think you're going to be a huge asset to what is a wonderful place.
Thank
And I know you and I have talked a little bit about that on the side and stuff and what you're hoping to expect. And that's going to be great. I think you're going to have a great job with that, or a great time with that. But certainly down the road, you've got a talent that you could always use. That you could. I mean, I'm talking if it's 5 years from now, you could jump back on the radio like it was yesterday and be just fine.
Well, there's very few things in life I know I'm good at.
Right, exactly. Right, I'm the same way.
But I know I don't suck at this.
Exactly.
I know that I know radio.
Absolutely.
And I'm pretty good with marketing and this was an opportunity that would be, like I said, it's pretty good for my family and taking care of the kiddos and it's just odd timing how all this worked out. None of this was planned.
None of it.
None of it with it being Derek's last day yesterday or today. None of this was planned.
It's crazy. That was like 2 weeks ago when Derek kind of brought that up. Like, hey, so I need to talk to you. Yeah, I saw
Randy
it
on the text line, Curtis, I feel like I met a great girl, and then she got in a car wreck and she's gone. Randy, no, how? No. Like if there are ways, and we're like I said, we're working on it. Can we find ways for me to keep contributing?
That's
here?
cool,
And that's the goal, and hopefully we can.
Yeah.
And so that's what's going on with me. But like I said, if I don't get to do another second of sports talk radio after today, I feel like God gave me a nice little prize here to hang with you and Derek for the last couple of months.
Thanks for doing it.
Yeah,
and it's been fun.
my pleasure.
And your intros have been dynamite. And that's such a weird old term, isn't it?
Dynamite. Dynamite would have been
Dynamite, yeah. But no, they've added a lot. You've added a lot. It's been a lot of fun. Doing a show with Derek and I would assume it is fun.
Yeah.
Because we have fun.
Yeah.
And so I would assume anybody that just kind of jumps in the parade is having fun with it. I know a lot of people then are probably thinking, all right, now what's next? Because they probably assumed.
Wait, Derek yesterday, Curtis today?
Right. Yeah, what's
what
going
the
on?
hell?
I was going to announce my retirement tomorrow, but it's a holiday, so I can't. So I got screwed in this whole thing. Like, Derek went first, then you, and I'm like, well, then you know what? I'll announce it Friday.
He's got an Uncle Sam outfit he was going to put on.
Right. And I'm like, I thought at first, I'm like, I'll just come in for like 1 minute at 3:01 or at 3:05 tomorrow when nobody's listening. I'll be like, hey, it's Lante. I'm retiring from radio. Peace out. But I'm not, and that's the plan here. I've got a lot going on in my life, which is kind of crazy. It's kind of all muddled up. It's all good, but it's just a lot of stuff has happened in the last couple of weeks, 2 to 3 weeks, and I'll be honest, it's like worn me out. I mean, between graduation for Andrew and his last sporting event in high school, which is a tearjerker for me and very emotional, and I'm a pretty emotional guy anyway.
Sure.
And then graduation parties, which is tough, because, he's getting ready to move on to college, and we're taking him Monday just to go see the college again and meet with the coach. And it's one of those situations where, we all do. I mean, like when I talk like this, I understand everybody out there goes through this, right? So I'm not alone on this. And I think that that's kind of the coolest thing about doing this radio show where I've done it for 15 years is that everybody out there listening is Lante. You know what I'm saying? I mean, we're all, or I'm you, whatever your name is. Like, we're all the same. Like, we're small town. We're good people.
We're from here, man. Like
exactly.
Exactly. Like nobody brought us into Central Illinois radio from another market or something
exactly
like
right.
that.
That's
like
exactly
we
right.
literally we live here. You see us out and about. We're
Yep.
We've got listeners that are genuinely our friends. We meet people that are cool and
except for Cliff and Urbana, I'm not a friend of his.
Cliff and Urbana. But no,
we'll love that one.
Poor
Lindy. I don't like Lindy.
Oh, poor Lindy. He said he's not listening. Lindy said
that's right. He's not even listening
because I played Go Cubs Go for
10
10 seconds at the start of the show to tease you. Yeah.
But for the show itself, here's what we're going to do. I don't quite know yet what it's going to do, what we're going to do, and what it's going to be about, but I don't want it to end.
All right.
And I am getting to a point where I'm going to want to do the show. It's the irony of it is that now Andrew's off to college, and I won't have anything in the fall like basketball games that take me away from the show or all of that. Now, when he hopefully pitches his freshman year, I am going to go to those games, and we'll see how that works. But I told Stevie, he and I had a nice talk about this, and obviously Kyle is coming back.
Yep.
From college or from break. I'm sorry, to college again. And already there's a snafu there because he's got a class that he has to take on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and the only time the class is from 3 to 4:30.
Yeah.
So already, Kyle can't do a Tuesday, Thursday show. But like Jay Lamon's on board again for the football season.
Love it.
And I told Stevie, I said, I'll be frank here. I spent a lot of years talking about a crap football team at Illinois.
Yeah.
So now that they're good, I feel like I deserve to talk about a good football team.
Hey.
All the, like Matt Silich just said, all the years that I had to talk about a 2, 3, 4 win Illinois football team, I feel like I deserve to get to talk about an 8, 9, 10 win football team.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
I want to get that done. We're still putting things into place, and that's all I can tell you. I'm not being elusive here.
No,
I'm not
you're
trying
no.
to say something that's not true.
You're not being cagey
No,
or none of that
no.
stuff. No, it's a work in progress.
That's right. So we hope to do that, but we are going to take a break. And for 15 summers, I have not had a summer off, if you will. Now, I know obviously I've got my insurance job, and then I do this till 5. And it's not like, most everybody's like, yeah, Lon, right, I work from 8 to 5. So it's not like, don't cry me a river. But I want to be able to go golf once in a while in the afternoon. I want to travel with Andrew before he takes off to college. I want to spend some time out in Arizona with Lucas while I have the chance here and get this little reprieve. So the idea right now, the plan right now, is today is going to be our last show until August 18, which is a Monday, and that's when Kyle's back, and that's when football will start to really fire up and get going again. So you're not, unfortunately, going to have us on the air for the next month and a half. And I apologize to everybody that listens all the time because it's hard to do that to you because we appreciate what you've given us and how you've listened to the show for many of them for years and years. And I appreciate that, and I love the idea that I'm able to be a small part of helping entertain someone during an afternoon. So we're not going to have a show from starting tomorrow until August 18. Yeah. And at that point, we hope to have a lineup full of what we're going to do. I'll be frank, if things don't work out, I don't know what's going to happen. But the idea here is 100% go forward with this and continue it because I'm not ready to hang it up. I enjoy doing this. And Stevie's been great to me. He was all in on me taking a little bit of a break and getting away from it a little bit because I've got a lot to think about with this show going forward.
Yeah.
It's not easy to replace a guy like Derek Piper, obviously.
No.
So, and you were doing a wonderful job, and now you're going to be taken off. So it's like, oh, well, hell, Daniel, you would just want to walk out now? I mean, you might as well leave now. Everybody's walking out on me, Daniel. Just get up and go. No, I'm kidding. So that's the plan. The plan is we will not be on the air until mid-August, and hopefully by mid-August, we have a plan in place on how we're going to attack the next year at least. And, you know, a lot of people ask me about stepping away and retiring, and I know, like Piper said yesterday, like the FanDuel, it was the upset of the year on FanDuel that he's the one leaving before me. It is in my future. You know, I want to travel more. I want to do things. And this radio show keeps you in place from 3 to 5 every day during the week. So it kind of gets in the way sometimes of things. But, you know, Andrew's going to be hopefully pitching in college. I do not want to miss any of that.
Of course not.
And because of that, I also don't want to be missing 30 straight days of radio. That's not fair to the listener or to the co-host, et cetera. Yeah. So there's a lot to think about going forward for me personally, but I'm just ready for this break. I'm ready for this break, kind of freshen up, re-energize, try to figure out what's next. And so for everybody out there, that's kind of the plan right now.
And if I could say one more thing, I want to give another shout out to Stevie, because we have the floor to talk about this openly. And in a lot of places, that doesn't happen.
No.
In a lot of places, it would be like, back on Monday, hey, what happened to Curtis?
Right.
Hey, where does... Well, you know, so for Derek to be able to announce that and be open and to be celebrated with his listeners, and for you to be able to have this format, Lon, and say, here's what's going on.
Yep.
It's real life stuff. And to go, you know, we're taking a break. That's the plan. We're going to try to put this... A lot of places wouldn't give us that opportunity or give people 100%. That opportunity. So, so thank you to Stevie for this opportunity. And and so you're going to hear plenty more, I'm sure, about the show going forward. So don't give up on our guy, Uncle Lon.
We got some Pia shows planned.
Because, by God, there's Pia shows planned. There's good football and basketball ahead, and I think he's got a few innings left in him.
Well, I appreciate that, Curtis, and I echo that with regards to Stevie. He's always been unbelievable for us to kind of let us do our thing, and I feel like speaking the truth is the best way to do it, and not try to hide. Why would I all of a sudden just, you know, have... all of a sudden we're just not having a show for 2 weeks. You know, my phone would blow up with people like, what the hell's going on with the show? You know, I'd rather just say it and tell you what we're doing. Daniel, I feel bad for you, young man, because you wanted to intern with us this summer when you got back from Syracuse, and I think you've had a good time. I feel like you've learned a little. You know, it hasn't been exactly what I had hoped it would be with you in terms of getting you on the air more often and such, but I appreciate you coming in. It's probably been one of my favorite things about this job is watching the younger kids like a Matt Silich. I mean, this is kind of a perfect way to say this. You know, Matt, while he's maybe not in the media business anymore, you still see how, you know, he developed and how good he is on the air. And I have no doubt, Daniel, that you're going to be that. I want you to have confidence. I want you to bring confidence to that mic, right? That'll be, if you take one thing from me going forward, be confident in your ability. And don't worry, you're going to screw up. I mean, it's going to happen. It happens to me every day. So just own it, move on, laugh at it, and I think you're going to have a great career. And who knows, maybe next year you can come back and intern with us and have a bigger role possibly in terms of the show. But I do feel bad like we're pulling the rug out from under you. But you and I will both enjoy the rest of the summer. How about
Absolutely, that? Yeah.
He'll get to work more at Dick's.
Daniel's in.
If you go to Dick's Sporting Goods, make sure you say hi to Daniel. Are you in the main store or the other?
I'm in the main store.
Okay, well, you're kind of important. Are you in the golf section or where are we at? Where are we seeing Daniel? Because people are going to be like, I want to meet Daniel.
Yeah, unfortunately, I'm in team sports. So when if you come in through the mall.
Yep.
You'll have to go all the way to the
end.
Oh,
I know where you're at. Yeah. Back by the cleats and stuff.
Back by the cleats and the batting cage and all that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So go say hi to Daniel. He's not a very good-looking kid, but he's a nice kid. That's a total joke, Daniel. You know that's a joke. You're a good man. But no, appreciate all the time you've given with us this summer as well.
I appreciate the opportunity.
We got to take a break. I know we do. We got to say goodbye.
Well, yeah,
we want to tip one.
We got to tip one, yeah. So we got to take. We're near the top of the hour. So we'll take a break. And we'll be right back. We'll tip one. And
I'll say goodbye.
There we go.
For a month or so.
All right.
Hey, Drew and Jonathan Scott here. Build a customized renter's policy with American Family Insurance. so you can protect your tandem bike on the go. Thief! Oh, he is struggling with that two-seater. Life's better when you're under American Family's roof. Insure carefully, dream fearlessly. Get a quote and find an agent at amfam.com.
Some exclusions may apply. Products not available in every state. American Family Mutual Insurance Company, SI and its operating companies. 6000 American Parkway, Madison, Wisconsin.
Meanwhile, at Dick Van Dyke Appliance World Command Center.
Paul, we have extreme heat warning. Summer 2025 is a hot one in Champaign-Urbana.
That's trouble for garage refrigerators.
One just went down in Rantoul. They need delivery right away, Paul.
Put them on for tomorrow. What's going on down here in Fisher?
It's a window air conditioner going out.
Can't have that. Good thing we deliver and install window ACs. We have plenty in stock.
Garage freezer in B-Man. Customer wants a technician out right away. She's afraid her beef is thawing.
Hate it when that happens. We have a tech in the area. Send Nate right over.
Copy that.
Team, it's like we talk about. At Dick Van Dyke Appliance World, we know what hot weather can do to home appliances. More importantly, we're always ready for the heat with fast, friendly repair service and delivery, plus the largest selection of appliances in Champaign-Urbana.
Paul, customer in Muhammad needs a portable dehumidifier ASAP. Says